Did you want me to share a little bit about the long-term mental health piece in all of this?
Sure. Yeah.
Because this is actually relevant to your question, Sammy. So I had a breakdown in late August, start of September 2024 that has precipitated all these months off of work and the counseling and the long-term disability. What we discovered, so when I had my diagnosis in early September, they did what they've always done with me, which is put me on antidepressants. And I still remember my doctor saying when I went in a consult, and he was kind of looking at me, I think he thought it was pretty serious too. He put me on a non-standard antidepressant. He said, you haven't tolerated, and I've been on, I've lost count, 6 or 8 different antidepressants over the years to try and deal with various mental health pieces and
Mhm.
migraine headaches. And he said, you're not tolerating the normal ones, so we're going to give you this new class, and it's a little different. And fast forward a couple of months, and we had friends over, and one of them asked if I'd ever looked at the symptoms of hypomanic. I didn't know what hypomanic was. And I went and I checked the symptoms and I read a description of myself. And I went into my doctor's office a day or two later for a regular follow up. And I said, I think I'm bipolar. And I think I'm bipolar type 2, which is a more new, more recently recognized form of the disease. And I could hear him roll his eyes. He's like, somebody's been doing their research on the internet. And so he gave me there's a screening that you do at least initially to kind of go, okay, something going on. He gives it to me, and I took it and I brought it back to him. And like the depression and anxiety scores, I scored stunningly high on the mood disorder checklist, and that led into a whole process of getting a bipolar type 2 diagnosis. Everyone
Mhm.
thinks of bipolar type 1, which is the manic, where you're flying and you have there's almost like a reality break that can go with some of the folks, and it's very confusing, and they're very energetic and can be very destructive, and then they crash and have depression. With bipolar 2, I like to describe us as we're all the chaos and less of the fun, because we don't go as high. Uh, we're The problem with hypomanic is I get a lot done when I'm hypomanic. Hypomanic can look very functional, but when you start pulling apart what's going on with the mood, it's
Mhm.
not. And then you get these crashes that happen afterwards where you wind up with serious depression. Typically, bipolar type 2 gets diagnosed as generalized depression because that's when you see the doctor. You don't see the doctor when you're up and you're hypomanic and bouncing off the walls and being the life of the party. You see them when you're depressed. And if you give a bipolar type 2 standard antidepressant medications, you make us worse.
Hmm.
Who knew? And so part of it's been I'm finally on the correct medication. So I've been on the wrong meds for 30 years. Now I'm on the right medication for a type 2 bipolar, which has evened me out. But here's the thing with bipolar 2, one of the coping mechanisms you have, typically you do substance abuse,
Mhm.
but as a believer, that just was never a pathway. There's some other self-destructive life behaviors that, again, my Christian faith constrained me from. So I'd find ways of scaring myself. I'm terrified of public speaking. And I think students used to think I was kidding when I said that, or congregations thought, well, he's just using it as a metaphor. No, I actually find public speaking very difficult. And I'm looking back now and realizing I've been self-medicating with some of my lifestyle choices. I was inadvertently trying to deal with this up and down of my bipolar for years. And I look back at things that happened when you were a student, or
Mhm.
subsequent to when you were a student, and this weird roller coaster that I knew I was on. And I hope nobody noticed. And I thought everybody experienced it, because one of the lies of mental illness, if we don't talk about it, is we assume that what's going on inside our head is what goes
Mhm.
on inside everybody's heads. And then we start
Mhm.
talking. And I've had people look at me and go, that's not normal. One of my best friends is just finishing up his PhD in counseling. We have very funny conversations. He refuses to take me as a patient. So, what's next and the boundaries, and what's ministry going to look like? I actually don't know, because now that I'm medicated, I don't know what my preaching is going to be like.